Yo.
And we're back. For the first time in this series, we're actually doing the follow-up video to what we said we were going to do in our last video instead of something else altogether.
Exactly.
So here we are with Munchies.
That's right.
I mean, no, wait.
I thought we were doing Gremlins.
Yeah.
We have like ADHD.
Critters.
Critters. That's right.
Pretty good movies. Watch them. Okay, see you later.
All 4 of them. Alright, well, thank you for watching our video, and until next time. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, yeah, let's start from the beginning.
I don't know why people don't like these movies. They're stupid
I think they're fun, and like most people just say, oh, it's a Gremlins ripoff, but it's actually a lot different. Like, the first movie was released in 1986. Critters. Yeah, I wish I could take these stickers off, but I can't take them off without taking half the cover with it. 84.
Yeah.
And Critters came out, yeah.
I could have sworn Critters came out first. I don't know. All these movies come out around the same time. It's kind of hard to keep track of anything unless you're like an asshole about it.
Yeah, pretty much. They are a little similar, but yeah. Anyway, Critters. Yeah, it takes place on a prison asteroid up in space somewhere, and a bunch of aliens are like guarding these ferocious creatures called the Krites. They're like these little man-eating furballs, like killer hedgehogs type of thing. And so 8 of the vicious space porcupines escape and steal a ship, and they go to where else? Earth. A solar system or one planet.
They're like if Wookiee poop came to life and decided to eat meat.
Pretty much, yeah. And that just happened. Yeah, and like they shoot like poisonous darts, like little spikes.
They do?
Yeah.
I thought they just eat people.
They do that too, but first they.
I didn't know they shoot darts.
Yeah, they poison them and then they eat them.
Huh.
So yeah, they land on a farm. The Brown family. We got Billy Green Bush and D. Wallace Stone and Scott Grimes and Nadine Vandervelde play the family. The kids, April and Scott, and the parents, Jay and Helen. And there's the Sheriff Harv, played by Emmett Walsh, and the town drunk, Charlie, played by Don Opper. So those are the main characters. And yeah, luckily for our heroes, 2 intergalactic bounty hunters are hot on the Critters' trail. They have their own ship, they're following the Critters, and they come to blow the hellish creatures off the planet. Now, the bounty hunters are like my favorite part of the movie. They're hilarious. As much as I love the critter action, the bounty hunters, like, they have, like, faceless green heads, and they transform. They have the ability to shapeshift into anybody. One of them takes the form of a rock star, and he's played by Terrence Mann. And he stays that way through the whole movie. And the other one transforms like every 15 minutes, and everybody. One
interesting thing I found out the bounty hunters later on in Marvel Comics, Morph looks just like them before they transform.
Yeah, Morph is very similar. It was actually debuted in the X-Men cartoon.
If anything, like
they have the same abilities as Mystique.
If anything, like these movies, like they have so many good ideas going, but it seems like they build something up and they stop it. They build something up and they stop it.
Yeah,
like the bounty hunters, they build that up, goes nowhere.
Well, the thing about the bounty hunters is they actually cause more destruction than the Critters. The Critters kill 2 people: the town cop Jeff and the boyfriend, who was actually an early role from Billy Zane. He's April's boyfriend. It was one of his first movies he was in. He had a bit part. Weirdly enough, him and Leonardo DiCaprio were both in Titanic, and they both got their start from a Critters movie. He was actually in Back to the Future before this, though. But anyway. Yeah, him and the cop are the only victims of the Critters. And the bounty hunters actually destroy an entire church, a bowling alley, a bar. Yeah, they cause all kinds of destruction. And you'll notice if you watch the movie, they only actually kill 1 Krite. And they show up at the Brown farm at the very end of the movie. And they do very little to help.
Okay,
but I think they're hilarious.
Okay,
I think the bounty hunters are friggin' awesome.
So the more they eat, the more critters they create just by eating food, or what? I don't.
Well, the more the critters eat, the bigger they become. They don't multiply like the Gremlins do. There's only 8 critters.
I could have sworn like one of them like shoots off little hairballs that grows into more. Or is that the second movie?
In Critters 2, a bunch of the critters combine to make a giant like ball of critters, and they can like make themselves bigger by coming together and rolling.
I could have sworn like they keep making more and more critters in like the second movie. Or I don't know.
Well, the second movie, there's a bunch of eggs that hatch. But anyway, we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, the first movie is definitely the darkest and like the most horror out of the series. The other sequels kind of go for more of a comedy route. And the first one's pretty funny, too, I think. I love the part of the bounty hunter comes to the bowling alley. He picks up the bowling ball and throws it, and it just like breaks all the pins, like just because he can. You know, the bowling ball just kind of resembles the critters when they're rolling.
I don't see how like you can actually make these movies scary because it's the stupidest thing ever.
Well, probably the most horrific part is the part where the other bounty hunter, not Terrence Mann, but the other one, shapeshifts into the cop after he's already been eaten by a critter. He's got like all kinds of like wounds and like bloody, some bone exposed. His face is all like bloody and he looks like a zombie.
For a cheesy horror movie, this has the lowest kill count I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was only 2 casualties. Oh my god. But you do get to see a critter eat a firework, and the thing is, it doesn't explode, which is what everybody wanted to see because they didn't want to destroy one of the puppets. They didn't want to destroy any of the puppets. I guess they were, I don't know. But yeah, pretty good movie. Charlie, the town drunk, as I said, he is the only character to appear, the only actor to appear in all 4 of them, and Terrence Mann, but he only has a bit part in the 3rd film, so like nothing more than a cameo in the 3rd and 4th films. But those 2 are the only recurring cast members. But yeah, the original Critters, 1986, very fun movie. I recommend you check it out. I've always liked this more than Gremlins myself. I know I'm in the minority. I think it's a lot more fun. Yeah, I'd like to take these stickers off without taking the cover with it, but I can't. So, because the DVD cover sucks. Hopefully they'll release it on Blu-ray with the original VHS covers. Maybe Screen Factory will do it. Definitely check out Critters. Very fun movie. The bounty hunters are a blast, and the critter puppets are actually pretty good. They look better than the ghoulies, probably, even though they all look the same, whereas the ghoulies were like, each one was like had a different look.
Next movie. Critters
2, released in 1988, 2 years after the original, and yeah, that's the Critters all combined to make a ball. Critters is a shitty DVD cover once again. Very fun sequel. This one's definitely more like comedy, and like there's a lot more Critters this time. At the end of the first movie, they discovered some eggs in the barn, and they hatch in this movie. It took them 2 years to hatch, I guess. I don't know why, but anyway, there's hundreds of critters this time. They take over the whole town. They're not just attacking a farm this time. They're all over the town of Grover's Bend, which is in Kansas. And yeah, Brad, the kid from the first movie, played by Scott Grimes, returns, as does Harv, the town sheriff, only this time he's played by Barry Corbin. Him and Walsh didn't return for a reason. And the bounty hunters are back too. Charlie, the alcoholic from the first movie, he's one of the bounty hunters this time. So there's a trio of bounty hunters. He went up in space and joined them, and he hunts...
that should have been its own movie.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the bounty hunters could have their own movie. And yeah, Terrence Mann returns as the rock star looking bounty hunter, and then the other bounty, his name is Ugg. They give him names in this movie: Ugg and Lee. Ugg Lee, get it? And then Lee, who the other bounty hunter turns into a naked centerfold at one point. They hold a Playboy magazine, and she transforms into a naked woman with really big tits, played by Roxanne Kernahan, who sadly died in a car accident shortly after this movie. Yeah, the 3 bounty hunters are back. So are the critters. They're hunting the critters.
What I don't understand is why like her suit like rips off as she transforms. That's kind of
that didn't make any sense. It's like, really, like their suits aren't very secure. Then
I did like how when she's getting ready to transform again into Freddy Krueger, he's got to hold a magazine in front of her.
I wish she would have turned into Freddy Krueger. That would have been so awesome. The only other person she turns into is that nerd played by Eddie Deason, who works at the Hungry Heifer, the local restaurant where the critters go to feast on the buffet at one point. Yeah, the bounty hunters get a lot more screen time. Brad's kind of the hero this time, and he reunites with Charlie, who came from space, and they have a reference to Star Trek. Even if you notice, like some of the aliens at the beginning that the bounty hunters have hunted down, one of them looks like suspiciously like a Star Trek character. So I guess you could say this takes place in the same universe as Star Trek, kind of like Star Wars.
For being bounty hunters that are paid to do this kind of stuff, they're not really good at their jobs.
Yeah, they cause more destruction than the critters. They blow up restaurants.
She goes into an alley and doesn't retreat when they start popping up.
They ambush her. Yeah, Lee dies. One of the bounty hunters dies.
When they start coming out, she just stands there looking at them until they fucking swarm onto her.
And then Ugg's reaction, Terrence Mann, the rocker-looking bounty hunter, his reaction is just like he screams really loud, and then he takes all these different forms, and his face. Then he just turns back into his faceless.
He was angry that he couldn't hit that anymore.
Yeah. But wasn't Lee like a male? I guess they don't have a gender. I guess because they can turn into a man or a woman. So who knows?
That's a good question.
Yeah, but Charlie has an expanded role. He's kind of he's actually the one who defeated the critters in the first film. He's actually the one who saved the day. Spoiler alert! Sorry. And this one too. But yeah, a lot more critter action. But it feels kind of more like Critters 2 kind of feels more like a Disney version. Aside from the topless female nudity. It feels like, I don't know, it doesn't feel as dark as the first one. It's has an Easter setting. It has a very childish tone. I kind of do too in a few ways, but it's a lot less horrific. There's a lot of scenes in the daytime, and there's a lot of crap you have to sit there to get to the good scenes. A lot of stuff with the Easter celebration of the town. It takes forever for the critters to come out. It takes forever for the bounty hunters to arrive on Earth. It's very slow in some parts. The only other returning cast member, I think, was Lynn Shay as the reporter. She was she worked at the police station in the first film. This time she's a reporter. I believe that's all the cast members that returned to the first movie. Brad, played as Scott Grimes, is the only one of the Brown family who came back for this one to visit his grandpa. I guess nobody else gives a shit about Grandma, but, whatever. Yeah, Critters 2 is a pretty decent follow-up. It's probably the last really good Critters movie because I don't really care for what came after, which we'll get to, I guess, right now, unless you have anything else to say about Critters 2, the main course.
They look like a bunch of hairy testicles in this movie.
Yeah. Especially when they're rolling on the ground. It's just like a ball of fur.
No, especially when they're standing next to each other.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I think the critter effects look a little better in the second one, and it takes place in the daytime mostly. There's hardly ever any scenes at night. Like, the whole first movie is almost completely at dark outside.
I do kind of wonder, how they...
tongue-tied.
Most of the scenes are, how they operate the puppets, where there's nowhere you can have somebody, hide to work it with their hand. So, how do they do that?
Yeah, I don't know. And there's a critter in the toilet, too, so I don't know if that was a reference to Ghoulies or what. And that was in the first movie, I mean. And there's a reference to E.T. in the first movie, too. Alright, yeah, Critters 1 and 2. After that, Critters 3, which came out, You Are What They Eat, which came out in 1990. Don't let that cover fool you. It looks like it's going to be an exciting movie with critters running amok in the big city, but that's not what it is at all. They're just
that tagline is actually pretty good.
It is good, but... yeah, they're just, they're in an apartment building, and that's pretty much the extent of it. They're in just a tiny apartment building the whole time. The second one, they were running, they were causing havoc in the entire city, and this one, they're just in an apartment building, so
how'd they get there?
I don't even know, because they killed all the critters within the second one. This one doesn't explain it. There's just a pregnant critter who shows up, lays some eggs, and then we got new critters. And there's only, maybe 5 or 6 of them this time. No bounty hunters, except for Charlie. He returns. He remained on Earth in the last movie, and he's still hunting down the critters for some reason. And Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. It's like his first movie, his film debut.
If they killed all the critters at the end of the second movie, why would he still be hunting critters on Earth?
I don't know. Never explained. And there's clips from the first 2 movies. This one was made in 1991, so it was a few years, 3 years after Critters 2.
Is this one of those movies where the clips are playing to some horrible music in the opening credits?
Yeah. And all the audio's out of sync. This movie sucks. This is easily the worst out of the Critters series. I despise it. It's very boring. It's very hard to sit through. The critters look okay, I guess. There's some fun critter scenes when they're running amok in the kitchen, and a critter even farts at one point. So do that what you will. But yeah, Charlie returns, played again by Don Opper. Terrence Mann returns as the interstellar bounty hunter Ugg, who has a tiny cameo at the end. Very forgettable, very boring movie. It takes place in an apartment building. Other than Charlie, I don't think there's any returning cast members in the first 2. Would like to see Brad Brown or Harv or somebody return. But it's also got what's her name? Amy Brooks. Or no, that was the second film. Yeah, Amy Brooks. Yeah, this is one of her first movies as well. So her career didn't really go anywhere, but I thought it was going to be promising. But yeah, Critters 3 is easily the worst of the series, in my opinion. I think a lot of people share that opinion. It's not what it could have been. The cover deceives you. It makes you think that it's critters in a big city, but no, they're just an apartment building. Charlie shows up briefly at the beginning and the end to save the day, and then...
So what's he doing in between that?
I have no idea. It's never explained. But yeah, for some reason he's still a bounty hunter. But it ends on a cliffhanger, which picks up with Critters 4 from 1992, the conclusion of the series. This movie takes place in space, but when I first heard that there was a Critters 4 and it took place in space, I was like, oh, right, we're going to see some of the aliens that we saw from the first 2 movies. There's going to be all kinds of alien characters. It's going to be like Star Wars or Star Trek. No, I'm sorry, it's just another alien ripoff. It's at a space station with nothing but human characters. Charlie returns. Him and a couple critter eggs got frozen and put in this weird space pod, and they wake up. They're the pod is found 53 years later by a crew on a space station, and Charlie, the eggs hatch, of course, the critters start killing people, and Charlie has to save the day once again.
Ugg sells out.
Yeah, yeah. Ugg returns. This time as a villain, as a bad guy who's also a guy named Counselor Tetra. They give him another
And he
name.
cuts his hair.
Yeah, his hair's short. He doesn't look like Rockstar Johnny Steele anymore, like he did in the first two movies. I don't know why he's a bad guy. He was like my favorite character, so that was pretty much
They
a
even
spit
bring
in
it
the
up,
face.
and he doesn't really answer the
No,
question.
they don't. He got a promotion, and it's just a big middle finger to
I
the
didn't
fans of
realize
the first two movies.
Bounty Hunters got promotions.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. This movie has a bigger budget than Part 3. It's definitely an improvement from Part 3, but this movie's really depressing. The whole thing takes place in space in the future. I thought there was going to be some fun alien characters and action, but no, just human characters. Brad Dourif is in it. He plays Albert, and that guy who played Radu in the Anders Hove, who played Radu in the Subspecies movies, he's in it too. And other than that, yeah, the cast is pretty much forgettable. Angela Bassett's in it. This is one of her early roles. And then a couple other characters. That makes up the space station. Charlie's back. He's in space in the future and still fighting critters. And Ugg returns as an evil bad guy. He's like the antagonist of the movie for some reason. Very depressing. It's I'm really sorry to see that the series took this direction, but again, it is definitely better than Critters 3, but it's still not nearly as good as the first two films. I wish they'd make a Critters 5 that retconned Ugg becoming a bad guy and the whole space and in the future thing.
I want to see a movie where it's like the in-between of 1 and 2, what Charlie's up to in space.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Or in between 2 and 3 or something. Better than this crap. And then,
one of the cool things I did like that they did with the critters is like in Cabin in the Woods, you actually have to pause the movie and slow it down frame by frame to see them in the one of the cells.
That movie's like a prequel to every horror movie ever made, sort of.
No, it's cool. They got like the Cenobite box.
Yeah,
there's a whole
definitely a lot of horror references that only true fans will understand. But yeah, a lot of people complain and say, "How come everybody always winds up in space?" It's usually the fourth movie. Yeah, like freaking Pinhead wound up in space, and Hellraiser Bloodline, Jason and Jason X, even the
that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, it was.
I did like that movie.
Even I watched it earlier today. It's not as bad as I used to think it was. Even the lousy Leprechaun checked out space in Part 4. But the thing is, critters, it makes sense because they started out in space. They're aliens. They're from outer space. Of course, they didn't end up back in space. Just not in a fun, cool, original way. Just another alien ripoff.
You know what would be really funny and interesting?
What? Like
if the critters, after they eat enough, they start pooping like uranium or something.
Yeah.
Like the whole town gets irradiated.
Be a new twist. It's like, hey, we got rid of the critters, but now we're all radioactive. So yeah, that's the Critters movies.
They're hit or miss.
Critters 1 is very entertaining and very dark. Has some suspenseful moments. The bounty hunters are awesome. I thought that was a unique addition. That was something Gremlins didn't do. I thought that kind of separated it from other movies about little killer monsters. And Part 2 is kind of an expanded version. It's longer and there's more to it. There's more going on. The critters are attacking a whole town. There's a lot more characters. A lot more gore. It's almost it's weird because it feels like a more kid friendly and childish, but at the same time there's a lot more blood and a lot more and nudity this time too. So it's kind of weird. The tone is all over the place. There's a weird Easter setting. Part 3 sucks. It's mostly forgettable. Part 4 is a step up from Part 3, but again, it's just really depressing and kind of sad that the series, I don't know, went in that direction. But whatever. I'd still love to see a Critters 5. There's actually a fan film. Look up on YouTube called Critters Bounty Hunter. And it stars a bounty hunter hunting some critters, some krites, in a house. And he hasn't taken a form yet. He's still in his default alien form. He hasn't shapeshifted. So that movie was actually better. That short film was actually better than Critters 3 and 4. So whoever did that, good job. Not very long. Maybe 20 minutes. I don't know. I don't even remember. It's been a while since I watched it, but they should make another movie like that. Bring back the bounty hunters.
What I'd like to see them do is do critters, crossover with munchies, gremlins, and species.
And then the ghoulies take them all out at the end. It's a nuclear bomb. And then the hobgoblins, they got to be in it too. They actually made a sequel to that recently. They made a Hobgoblins 2 recently.
I know they made a Hobgoblins 1.
You're lucky. But yeah, they don't really do the little monsters thing much anymore. It was all the rage back in the 80s.
Because they don't use puppets anymore.
Yeah, now it'd probably be Critters all be CGI shit if they made it now, so I don't want to see that. But if they do make another Critters movie, definitely bring back Terrence Mann and Don Opper, at least in cameos. And
I mean, honestly, it costs money, but you can do a whole lot more with CGI than you could with animatronics and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I understand there's some things that can't be accomplished with practical effects, but I'm always going to side with animatronics or costumes or puppets. CGI just will never look real to me.
Like
Obviously,
that one scene, just them getting into the ball to start rolling, took like 3 days.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I have more respect for people who use practical effects. I feel like they have to be more creative with it. Like the original King Kong, 1933, obviously it doesn't look as real as the new one. It's CGI, but I have way more admiration for what they achieved back then than just, it's a computer-generated thing.
Another thing that I like when they did the Thing remake or whatever, they had that one guy with his chest burst open, he's walking. That was a practical effect that those guys...
They did use a lot of practical effects, and I admire that, because the John Carpenter's The Thing had some of the best effects I've ever seen.
But the guys in charge of it ruined it. It's like, it's got to be seen from this angle, this angle. Like, no, it's got to be seen from just this angle, otherwise you see it's fake.
Yeah.
And they mess it up.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, anything else you want to say about the Critters quadrilogy?
No. I ran out of stuff like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think we covered it all.
Okay.
All right. I'm Hellhound.
I'm Spellbinder.
Until next time. 30 episodes.
Oh, yeah.